ground, far from all worries and troubling sound. When I go there to be by myself, only me, no one can guess what I came there to see.
Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Madeline and I've been living in London for 8 months now. Crazy. So I'm getting my master's here. I'm from the US, from like Indiana, Michigan, and this is not my normal style video. Usually I'm doing vlogs, but the only difference between this and my normal style is that I'll be filling you in from the future instead of current time. My vlog camera, sadly, the first day of this trip, morning of, got water. I'm not gonna get into it, but it was broken. So I got a new one now, but unfortunately couldn't do my typical style video, so all the videos were taken on my phone instead. Basically, this video is kind of gonna be like a week London guide on what to do if you're coming, if you want to kind of copy what we did. So my parents came and visited me, and we got an Airbnb in Mayfair to be kind of nice and central. Airbnbs I found were cheaper than hotels for the most part, from what I was finding. I met them in the morning at Paddington and we headed to breakfast, but that is where I found out my camera was sadly not gonna be working. So we couldn't head to the Airbnb until 4. That was the check-in time. We had a few hours to kill. We stored our suitcases with a hotel through a suitcase storage company. I figured we could just walk through the park since we were in Paddington. So we went through Hyde Park, but I did get us lost. But we saw Kensington Palace. We saw the Royal Albert Hall and what I believe is the whatever monument is right there. We also walked and saw the Princess Diana fountain. It was like pretty cold, but there were kids in the fountain. Also, this was like the first week that spring was sprung. Everything was blooming. It was beautiful out. We then walked from Paddington through the park to the Victorian Albert Museum, which is one of my favorites here in London. It just has a good range of things, but my parents were very tired at this point, understandably so. So we got a little bite to eat and sit down, rest our feet, and then we went and mostly saw the jewels that they have there, but they also have great other collections there, so I really recommend checking out this museum. After that, we headed back to get our bags and then check into the Airbnb. Our Airbnb was beautiful. Then we were very hungry and just wanted to grab something to eat, so we went to this burger and lobster place. I believe that's what it was called, and had the early dinner and then just went back to our Airbnb and chilled. I watched Mary Berry cooking show or something. I don't know what it is, but I don't get cable at my flat, so it was fun to watch actual British TV. The next day was our most relaxed day. We didn't have anything planned except afternoon tea, and we decided to get I decided to get afternoon tea for us at Fortnum and Mason, which there's so many places to go for afternoon tea. It's really hard to choose. This one I decided to go with because it wasn't as fancy as some of the other places, and it had like a crazy selection of teas. It's some sort of Jubilee tea room that the Queen, that was like what she did for whatever Jubilee it was. I keep forgetting if it was like platinum or diamonds. I don't really know which ones are which, but it was a great experience. We got what our server recommended, which was to get one savory and one sweet, so for each. So we got 2 sweet and 1 savory. Also, I learned that high tea means that there's a hot food item with it. So not only are you getting the finger sandwiches and the desserts or whatever little treats, you're also getting some sort of hot meal. So this is, we didn't need that. We like didn't need to eat that much. And they also gave us free cake. So it was just a lot. We could not even like begin to eat all of it. It was really nice because they gave us little take-home boxes, which it seemed like most people were also doing that, which is nice because you don't feel like you're wasting everything. We then walked around the area and just looked at all the boutiques, and we went back that night, just had some food at our Airbnb, and the next morning was the busiest, most tourist-filled day, but it was their first time in London, so they had to see it, and we were blessed with amazing weather, especially for London. It was warm and sunny. I actually got sunburnt this day, which is crazy. We went to see the changing of the guard, which if you look on the website, it gives you the dates, because it actually isn't every day that it happens. It's usually every other day, I believe. And you want to get there like significantly early. I knew this coming into it, but we were running so late we got there right before. So we couldn't actually see any of the changing of the guard, but we did stand by the road and we could see them come by and the bands come by, which was cool. And it's just cool to get the experience. My parents got to see Buckingham Palace. And then from there, we walked through St. James Park over towards Big Ben. We saw Westminster Abbey. And then from there, we walked across the bridge, which was a horrible experience. It was so packed. And by this point, it was kind of overwhelming. My parents, at least my dad, and honestly, I understand I was overwhelmed too. It was also, I forgot to mention, Easter weekend, so the crowds were just crazy. So we walked over towards the London Eye. We decided not to go on the London Eye. And then we hopped on a bus because at this point it was like a lot of walking had been done. Went to Borough Market, and Borough Market was also pretty packed, and my parents wanted to sit down, so we found a place to have a bite to eat, a glass of wine or beer, cocktail or whatever, and just enjoy the afternoon and calm down a little bit.
Somebody told me long ago that when I drink,
Yeah.
I go, I lift my eyebrows.
Yeah, you do. Do you like it? Oh, I also tried, actually I'd already had it, but I saw on Instagram they had a cute little Easter nest from Humble Crumble. So I tried that and it was really good. We split it. And then also, funny story, when I was there, so I put in my order and then you wait and you watch them make it or whatever. And she goes to this other girl in front of me, "Are you Madeline?" And the girl was like, "Yeah." So I was like, okay, maybe her name's Madeline too. Like, I'm not gonna be like, "No, I'm Madeline," you know. So she took my dessert. And then my mom was like, "Was that for Madeline? Like, this is Madeline." And the girl was like, "Why did she say her name was Madeline?" Anyway, they had to remake my dessert because this girl like stole it. After that, we walked to Tower Bridge. It's basically right there. Walked across Tower Bridge and we're going to go to the Tower of London. But they said that the tours, the last one for the day, had just stopped. Like, we could still go walk around, but my mom wanted to get a tour, so we decided to come back Sunday morning because that was really the only chance we would have had. We didn't end up seeing the Tower of London then, and we went to the Royal Exchange and Bank, which I believe it's like the building that was in Mary Poppins that the dad worked at. And there's some cool, I've never been in there, but I wanted to, but it ended up being closed, unfortunately. But there's some cool bars and shops and stuff. So then we just went to another random, it was like a hotel, but it had 5 different like restaurant bars type of things. So we just got a glass of wine there and then headed back to our Airbnb. At that point, everyone was a little bit grouchy, very tired. The next day was Saturday and we got up early, hopped on a bus and went to Notting Hill. We had breakfast at Egg Break and it was really nice. Since we got up kind of early, I think we got there at 9 maybe. There was like barely anyone there, so we got like the best seat in the house. And then we walked to the Portobello Market, which happens, I know Saturday's the main day. I don't know if it happens every day, but basically it's an antique market, but it also has a lot of food. There's a lot of cool shops right there. There's also the Green Market, which is connected, which is all vintage clothing. So my mom really wanted to see that. It was, again, packed. And my mom, I didn't realize that Harrods was like such a big priority for her to go to. So we got Notting Hill kind of done with for the day and then headed to Harrods just so she could check it out, get a little gift shopping in. She got herself a bag. And then we hopped on another bus and went back to the Airbnb and rested for a bit before heading to Soho to watch the West End Mary Poppins play, which I like 100% recommend if you are in London to go see it. It's the cheapest I've been able to find. Also, I have Today Ticks, which helps, especially if it's just you going or 2 people. You can get seats that are maybe like not as great of views, but usually they're okay. Like if you can kind of like look up where they are and see. Like I did it one time and I didn't have any viewing problems. Like it was perfect. And the show is just so good. So then Sunday morning we woke up very early, headed to Tower Bridge right at 9, or not, sorry, Tower of London right at 9 when it opened. They recommended this for us because you can go and see the crown jewels before the first tour starts. So the tours, I didn't really realize this, but they're with what they're called beef eaters, but the proper term isn't actually a beef eater. I'll insert it because I forget it, but I thought it was really interesting. These people, they live in the Tower of London. Like, there's apartments there and there's families there, and to become a beef eater, you have to be in the military for 25 years, I believe, and then you have to hold a certain type of status in the military. And basically, they're known for doing these tours. I mean, it goes back historically for them, like, guarding the tower and everything. The Tower of London was where, it's like the medieval castle, basically. And that is where they have the crown jewels. Honestly, I was a little bit disappointed by the crown jewels. I thought it was going to be a lot more. I actually thought that the Victorian Albert Museum was cooler with the jewels, but they did have like a few that were insane, like stones this big on the crowns, which I just can't even fathom how much those would be. But it was really nice getting there early. I definitely recommend. When we like first got there at 9, it filled up towards 10, but when we first got there at 9, it was like we had the place to ourselves almost. We then headed towards Greenwich. Greenwich is the area where I am located. So my parents wanted to see, you know, where I've been living. We headed to lunch. We went to Champagne and Fromage and had some champagne and fromage. And then we walked to the park. I really wanted to see the cherry blossoms because I knew it was going to be the only week that they were blooming, and that was just a priority for me to see. I wish I could have gone early in the morning when there weren't huge crowds, but I just love Greenwich Park. If you're in London and like want to just like have a relaxing time, go on a walk, whatever, I highly recommend Greenwich Park. It's just so fun to just sit and people watch, dog watch, whatever. Also, the views are great, and in Greenwich there is the Meridian line. I have a whole video on Greenwich that I'll link down below if you're wanting more of an in-depth what to do in Greenwich. But the Meridian line is in Greenwich, the Greenwich Observatory, so there is a lot of history in Greenwich, and it's a beautiful place. There is the Queen's house that we walked to after. We didn't go in, but it is free if you want to. But we decided to go to the Old Royal Naval College and see the painted halls, which they call the painted halls here the Sistine Chapel of there. It was nice to do a tour because I'd been there before, but I didn't really know what anything I was looking at was. But the lady was very passionate about it and explained everything to us. Then that night we headed to the Trafalgar Tavern, which is a famous old pub that authors, politicians used to go to. And we went with my flatmates, which was fun. And then we headed, I packed up for Brugge and Paris. So after this video, if you want to check out my Bruges, Belgium and Paris, France videos, you definitely should. So I packed up for those, and then the next morning, got on the Eurostar and headed from London to Brussels. So that was the week. It was so nice to show my parents around. Again, we are so lucky with the weather. I'm sorry that this video was different than usual. After these next 3 videos with the Bruges and the Paris, it is returning to my normal vlog style now that I have a new camera. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. You can check out my Instagram or TikTok for more on me. But thank you guys. Bye.